What do you do when someone kills 3 or 4 people? One prosecutor knows what he wants to do, another one isn't that decisive, and a third makes a decision, but maybe it's because of the victim. The Rust movie armorer gets some more charges, a senior trip that didn't go as planned, and now an Ohio teen is charged with murder, and then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and hit that little bell for notifications. And remember, you can listen to us anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. And let's support the people that support Crime Talk. Please go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service. You'll be happy you did. If there's anyone out there you were ever curious about what was in their background, now is the time to do it. If you're going to get involved with somebody, now is the time to do it. When you go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, you put in the name, literally millions of public records are searched, and a report is generated. And it's going to give you a report. If they have multiple social media accounts, you're going to find it. If they have multiple phone numbers, multiple email addresses, it's going to be found. And more importantly, you're going to get information regarding criminal history. Hopefully the person you're searching has none whatsoever. But if it's there, it's going to be found. You're going to get everything you'd want to know, whether you're going into business or whether you're going into a personal relationship. You're going to be able to find out the information you want to know. So go to CrimeTalkSearch.com, sign up today. You'll be happy you did. All right, let's go ahead and open the docket for June 23rd, 2023. First, one day after a grand jury indicted an Ohio man for numerous crimes in the execution murders of his 3 sons, Clayton, Hunter, and Chase, prosecutors expressed their clear intention to pursue the death penalty. Christopher Doerman was arraigned Friday morning, and he pled not guilty and was held ordered without bond in the murder case that prosecutors have called one of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be their misfortune of seeing. Prosecutor declined to get into specific details so as not to jeopardize the capital case when asked about allegations that Mr. Doerman, Chad Doerman, had planned the execution of his kids for months. He did say he would seek the death penalty for Mr. Doerman and would seek the fullest extent under the law, which includes death. The prosecutors stated the following, quote, "I can't go into a whole lot of facts because this is a death penalty case, and my goal is to have this man executed for slaughtering these 3 little boys. It is an incomprehensible act of horror that he perpetrated on his family. Factually, I've said what I said on the record, and I'm going to stick by that," the prosecutor noted. And he said, "I'll let the facts speak for themselves. As I mentioned in court, he slaughtered his 3 children in the most brutal fashion you could possibly imagine." May know by now, if you've been following this case with us, Chad Doerman is accused of lining up his 3 sons, ages 3, 4, and 7, and executing them with a rifle, even hunting one of the boys down at the property, gunning him down, the 7-year-old, from behind while the boy tried to escape, and then executed the victim when he fell. He allegedly ripped the 3-year-old from his mother's arms and then put a bullet in his head, the prosecutors noted. And prosecutors said last week that Doerman confessed to this horrific crime, and we brought you the body cam video that showed that Doerman was acting quite calm as he sat on the back porch of his house when the sheriff's deputies came to the scene on the afternoon of June 15th, just days before Father's Day. Like I said, he was sitting there with the rifle next to him while his 3 sons lay victims on the ground. On the other hand, we have prosecutors in the Brian Kohberger case, which are much less decisive. On May 22nd, Brian Kohberger declined to enter a plea to the charges at his arraignment, electing to stand silent, so the court then entered a plea on behalf of Mr. Kohberger. This is not unusual and is not a big deal, but a lot of people are making it out to be a big deal that he didn't say not guilty. It means nothing. It's not uncommon for the court to enter pleas on behalf of a defendant. So, on that same day, May 22nd, a 60-day clock starts ticking for the Latah County prosecutor, Bill Thompson, to file a notice of intent to seek the death penalty against Mr. Kohberger or not. So, Mr. Thompson has until July 22nd of this year to decide how he's going to proceed. Now, if this case is not a death penalty case, I'm not exactly sure what is. The DA has to take into consideration the desires of the victim's family, the likelihood a jury will convict and sentence Mr. Kohberger to death if he is in fact convicted, and the prosecutor also has to consider any mitigation that the defense may offer to them to avoid the death penalty. Now, usually the death penalty is brought when the district attorney thinks that their case is a slam dunk for guilty. The weaker the case, the less likely death will be sought. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, the trial is currently scheduled to begin on October 2nd, but if this becomes a death penalty case, you can imagine that date is going to change and the trial date is going to get pushed out. As we've seen in the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell trials, a possible death sentence gives and requires the defense more time, not only to prepare for a trial, but to prepare mitigation, which is something that would spare a defendant's life if they proceed to sentencing on the death penalty portion of the case. Now, another case in Idaho where there are 4 bodies and no death sentence has been decided. So the man accused of shooting and killing 4 of his neighbors in Kellogg, Idaho, will not face the death penalty if convicted based upon a new filing. Now, Majorjon Kaylor is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of Kenneth Guadapi, Devin Smith, and Aiken Smith. Their ages range from 16 to 65. Now, the affidavit for his arrest, the police says that Kaylor and his wife were upset because they allegedly witnessed Mr. Smith exposing himself in front of the bedroom window while Kaylor's children were playing in the yard. The Kaylors then began arguing with the Guadapis about the alleged exposure, and Kaylor ended up shooting the family in their apartment. This is all pursuant to the arrest affidavit. It later states that he told the police that he just snapped. Well, the Shoshone County prosecuting attorney, Benjamin Allen, released a public statement and his filing with the court as well that said, quote, "After careful consideration and discussion with the victim's family, our office has made the choice to remove the death penalty as a sentencing option, which will set the path of the criminal procedure in this case on course as a non-capital first-degree murder. This decision comes as a result of careful consideration of the realities of a death penalty statistics within our state, as well as discussions with the family members of the victims involved in this tragic event. And Kaylor is currently being held without bond, and a preliminary hearing has been scheduled now for July 3rd. So as you can see, different prosecutors, same number of bodies, completely different results. It's called prosecutorial discretion. Some people like it, some don't. If you get the benefit of it, you obviously think it's a good thing. If they give you the harsher sentence, well, you don't like that prosecutorial discretion. But it just goes to show you, and prosecutors have to consider the debate of the death penalty. Is it even moral, even if it's on the books? Because it is the ultimate premeditated murder, as many people argue. Next on the docket, more charges for the Rust movie armorer. Remember Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer who now faces charges of tampering with evidence? Gutierrez-Reed was in charge of the weapon used in the movie Western, including the gun Alec Baldwin was using on rehearsal on October 21st, 2021, when the gun went off. Alec Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger and it should not have had live ammunition. Well, ultimately, that shot wounded director Joel Souza and killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Now, the new charges against the armorer relates to the transfer of narcotics to another person on the day of the shooting with the intent to prevent criminal prosecution. So basically what they're alleging is that Ms. Gutierrez-Reed is also now an alleged drug dealer. Well, Gutierrez-Reed's attorney, a guy by the name of Jason Bowles, released a statement that began stating, "Something is rotten in Denmark." He says, quote, "It is shocking that after 20 months of investigation, the special prosecutor now throws in a completely new charge against Miss Gutierrez-Reed with no prior notice or any witness statements, lab reports, or evidence to support the charge. This comes on the heels of the state letting its lead investigator go and the investigator raising serious concerns about the investigation in an email. This stinks to high heaven, and it is retaliatory and vindictive," Mr. Bowles noted. Now, in the last half of the statement, Mr. Bowles was referring to an email he was sent by mistake by Robert Schilling. He was an investigator who worked on the case for months for the district attorney's office, but was removed from the case. Now, Bowles, the former head of the New Mexico State Police, wrote the email after he was taken off the case, sharply criticizing the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. It states, quote, "The conduct of the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office during and after their initial investigation is reprehensible and unprofessional to a degree I still have no words for," Schilling wrote in this email. And District Attorney Mary Carmack Altweiss, another member of the District Attorney's Office, and Bowles, quote, "Not I or 200 more proficient investigators than I can or could clean up the mess delivered to your office in October of 2022. 1 year since the initial incident is inexcusable." Now, Schilling says he sent the mail to Bowles by mistake because he has the same first name as one of his supervisors, likely Jason Lewis, who was appointed along with Morrissey to oversee the case after Carmack Altweiss stepped back and the original special prosecutor, state representative Andrea Reed, resigned because New Mexico law bars working for the executive branch of the government while serving in the state legislature. Now, Mr. Schilling, the man who wrote the email criticizing the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department, declined to elaborate on his email when asked. That's turned into a complete mess. Obviously, Alec Baldwin's charges were dismissed because, well, the FBI lab basically broke the gun while testing. It sounds like a plea bargain of a misdemeanor mindset should probably be considered in that particular case. All right, next on the docket, a senior trip that's gone bad, and now a teen is accused of murder. So an Ohio high school wrestler accused of killing his ex-girlfriend during a trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He reportedly locked himself in a room with her lifeless body for hours before ultimately stabbing himself in the chest. Now, it is alleged that 18-year-old Blake William Linkus was arrested by the Horry County Police earlier this month and charged with murder. He's accused of killing his ex-girlfriend, Natalie Martin, also 18 years of age, who was on a high school senior vacation in Myrtle Beach when Linkus allegedly strangled her to death. Now, Linkus was at the vacation rental home with the defendant off of Madison Drive in Myrtle Beach when the incident occurred. Police allege that around 5 other people were in the residence at the time as well. Natalie's best friend, a girl by the name of Brooklyn Farrell, said that the defendant emerged from the home on the morning in question with a stab wound to his chest, reportedly self-inflicted, according to what friends witnessed during the incidents. So at about 9 a.m., Blake came out. He had stabbed himself in the chest, and everyone got up and was freaking out about, "Where's Natalie?" 2 friends then rushed into the bedroom, found Natalie unresponsive in one of the bedrooms, and immediately started CPR. Now, Linkus and Natalie had a fight the day before the incident, reportedly arguing about Natalie exchanging text messages with another male. Later that evening, the group of friends went to a club, but Natalie said she felt ill and left early with the defendant. Now, Farrell, the best friend, said that the 2 friends arrived back at the rental property about 10:45 p.m., and used the rear entrance when nobody responded to their knocks on the front door. Ms. Farrell added that once inside the home, one of the male friends heard 3 loud thuds and inspected the living room but found nothing unusual. He tried to open the room where Linkus and Natalie were sleeping, but the door was locked and didn't think much of it. Later that morning, Linkus came out bleeding and speaking rapidly, shouting, "Natalie's not waking up." Ms. Farrell then said that he spent several hours alone in the room with Natalie's body. The pair reportedly dated for several years until February when they ended their relationship after Linkus allegedly assaulted Natalie in the front of their friends at his house. He forcefully flung her across the room, Farrell alleges, and he persistently sought to reconcile and constantly apologize to her. He frequently messaged me seeking advice on how to win her back. Well, now Linkus is facing a murder charge and remains behind bars at the Reuben Long Detention Center there in Horry County, which is near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He's being held on a no-bond hold. What can you say about that? Well, I mean, it's obviously they're going to have to determine to the best that they can the time of death. I'm sure Mr. Linkus will say that he was stabbed and that she must have passed away in her sleep. Yeah, not such a good defense. Sounds like Mr. Linkus has some anger control issues and some impulse control issues if he's beating up on women. How many times have we said it, gentlemen? Never, ever, ever hit a girl. I don't care if she's bigger, stronger. You just don't do it. Next on the docket, our dumb criminal of the day. Christian Mansour is our contestant today. And, well, let's say this is what he did. He flashed red and blue lights on his silver BMW, because that's what most police officers drive, right? No. So it was about 11 p.m. on April 3rd in Rochester Hills, and he attempted to pull over somebody who just happened to be a police officer not on duty. Well, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office said that Mansour then passed the officer, so the officer then followed him because she thought something wasn't right. Why would a BMW have red and white police lights? Doesn't make sense. Well, when the off-duty police officer confronted him a short distance away, Mr. Mansour said that he was with the 12th precinct of the Detroit Police Department. She asked for his identification, so he said, "Let me go check back in his car." And then he drove away instead. Well, the police officer followed him to a trailer park in the Shelby Township, lost sight of his car, but other on-duty police officers later found him switching the license plates from the BMW that he was driving and attempted to pull over the officers to another car that he owned. He also ran away when the police arrived. What does that show? That's right, consciousness of guilt. Well, Mr. Mansour was arraigned on the misdemeanor charge of impersonating a police officer, and guess what he got? 1 year in jail. That's right. You can't go around impersonating a police officer. So, Mr. Mansour, you are our dumb criminal of the day. Congratulations, you made it. And my guess is there's a reason why you haven't become a police officer, and now there's another reason why you never will be. All right, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week on Crime Talk.